Good evening and welcome to the Bhagavatam. Today we're going to read about the boon that was given by Shiva to a Asura. And they often are the ones who approach him for some kind of special favor. And in this boon, Shiva was almost killed by the same Asura who he blessed. We're also going to learn about some very other important elements as to why people worship Shiva versus Krishna, and which is better. So let's get started. This is the 10th Canto, chapter number 88. So King Parikshit asked a question from Shukadev. If you've been following along, you'd know that Parikshit is the king who is cursed to die, and Shukadev is the great sage that he has approached in an assembly of sages, of hundreds of sages who have gathered in the forest of Naimisharanya. So in that, Parikshit is asking the sage Shukadev, he says, the demigods, the devas, the asuras, or another word for that is demons. Now, keep clear, when we say asuras, we don't mean, or demons, we don't mean demons as in the Christian or the Hollywood sense of the word. We mean it as the people who are not godly, do not follow the path of dharma. They are the opposite of divine beings or devas. So the demigods, that is the devas, and the asuras and humans who worship Shiva, and Shiva is a strict renunciant. A renunciant means someone who is renounced, who is a mendicant, who is a sannyasi, who is a monk. I guess there's different ways of saying the same thing, but basically in the ancient Vedic time, people would go to a forest to meditate, to the Himalayas, and be there for many, many years. But Shiva is perpetually in a state of meditation. He has nothing. He needs nothing. He is, as such, you could say, homeless, though he has his home in Kailash, which is in the mountain. So they're saying that these devas, asuras, and humans all over the universe worship Shiva, who is renounced. And these persons usually get from him great favors for wealth and sense gratification, while the worshippers of the Supreme Lord, Hari or Vishnu or Krishna, who is the husband of Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune, right? The goddess of fortune means the one who, by whose blessings you get all fortune. Now he's her husband. Those who worship him, Vishnu, another name for him is Krishna or Hari or Narayan or Vasudev, many names. They do not get all the material comforts and luxuries and sense gratification. So he's asking a question, why is this? Shiva has nothing, and yet he gives everything to those who worship him. And Vishnu has everything. Krishna has everything, and he doesn't give in the same manner to his devotees. So Parikshit asked, we wish to properly understand this matter, which greatly puzzles us. Shiva and Vishnu, who are opposite in character, and the results attained by worshippers are contrary to what one would expect. You'd expect the rich person to give riches. You'd expect the poor person who has nothing to be able to give nothing. That's the normal logical sense, right? So in the purport it is explained, King Parikshit here expresses a common fear among ordinary people that by becoming a devotee of Vishnu, one will lose his wealth and social status. For the benefit of such persons of little faith, King Parikshit requests Shukadev to explain this apparent paradox. Shiva, who, like a beggar, without even a house to call his own, but makes his devotees rich and powerful, while Vishnu, the omnipotent possessor of all that exists, often reduces his followers and worshippers to abject poverty. Now, that's not true in all cases, but yes, generally that we see that pattern. So Shukadev, the great sage, replies, and he says, Shiva is always united with his personal energy, the material nature. See, he is in charge of material nature. And he manifests himself in three features in response to the entreaties of nature's three modes. So in the Vedas, they talk about the three modes of nature: goodness, passion, and ignorance. These are states of consciousness that we are affected by. We may be affected by the mode of goodness and thereby want to be clean and pure and sattvic. Or we may be affected by the mode of passion and want to enjoy and possess and have all kinds of things. Or we may be in the state of ignorance, and we may be depressed, and we may feel nothing makes any sense, that nothing has any meaning, and therefore we become lazy and we become unproductive and we find ourselves withering away. So that's the mode of ignorance. These are states of consciousness, states of mind. Not pure consciousness, but states of consciousness of the mind and the ego. So Shiva is in charge of these. He embodies the threefold principle of the material ego in goodness, passion, and ignorance. The 16 elements have evolved as transformations of that false ego. So this is what we are talking about when we say ego. Most people speak of ego. They're referring to false ego. The false sense that I am this body, that these are my possessions, this is my family, this I, me, and mine, right? That is the false ego, this false identification with the world. The real ego, Shuddha Ahankar, the pure ego, right, is that of the soul. That is our real identity. And that identity, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu describes it, Jivera Swarup Hoy, our Swarup, our original nature, our original form, our original identity is Nitya Krishna Das. We are eternally servants of God. Nitya Krishna Das. So, when a devotee of Shiva worships his manifestation in any of these elements, the devotee obtains all kinds of corresponding enjoyable opulences. False ego transforms into the mind and 10 senses. By 10 senses, they mean the 5 knowledge-acquiring senses: the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, skin. And then there are the 5 working senses: the hands, feet, voice, genitals, and anus. So these are all functioning in tandem with each other. And then there are the 5 physical elements: earth, water, fire, air, and ether or space. Shiva appears in a special linga form in each of these 16 substances. So 10 senses, the mind, right, and the 5 physical elements, so 16. Shiva appears in the special linga form in each of these 16 substances, which are worshipped individually as deities in various sacred locations of the universe. A devotee of Shiva may worship one of his particular lingas to obtain the mystic opulences pertaining to it. Thus Shiva's Akash Linga bestows the opulences of space. His Jyotirlinga bestows the opulence of fire, and so on. This is not a study today in the different ways to get blessings from Shiva, but rather to understand the difference between worshipping the two. So Hari, or Vishnu, or Narayan, or Krishna, however, has no connection with the material modes of nature. He is, as he says in the Bhagavad Gita, he is beyond the modes of nature. He is beyond the influence of material nature. Material nature causes us to have desire. It causes us to want to enjoy. It causes us to need to survive. There are so many things that bring us under the influence of material nature. We think we are free. We think we are independent. We think we are the enjoyers. We think we are powerful, but actually we are controlled at all times. We are controlled by the modes of nature, even by our moods. You could even call it moods. Right? We are controlled by our moods. We're controlled by our hunger, our thirst, our desires. We're controlled by our mind. We're controlled by the society. We're controlled by our politics. We're controlled all different ways. All of those things make us work, make us desire to achieve things and have things and be recognized and be respected. We are not independent. If we were independent, none of that would matter. Nothing would matter to us. We would not be bothered if somebody praises us. We would not be bothered if someone despises us or puts us down. But we are bothered. And that's because we are not independent. We are not free. We are under the control of the ego, the mind, the senses. So Hari or Vishnu has no connection with the material modes of nature. He is the supreme personality of Godhead, the all-seeing eternal witness. Another word for that in Sanskrit is Sakshi. He is the eternal, all-seeing, eternal witness. It means he is witnessing through us everything. But he's not participating. We are the ones who are doing everything in this world and thinking that this is my creation, my achievement, my all of that. So one who worships him becomes similarly free from the material modes. This is a very powerful distinction to understand. Shiva is in charge of the material modes, and one who worships him gets what he desires in the material modes. But Vishnu is beyond the material modes of nature, and one who worships him also becomes free of the influence of material nature, free of the material modes. In the purport it is said, Vishnu is situated in his own transcendental realm. Transcendental means that which is beyond time, that which is beyond space, that which is beyond the influence of the modes of nature. In other words, that where there is no death, there is no birth, there is no old age, there is no disease. So Vishnu is situated in his own transcendental realm, beyond the material energy, beyond all these billions of universes. Beyond that is the spiritual world. Some call it the light. Within the light there are so many planets. Within those planets there are so many forms of Vishnu. Or Narayan, actually. It's the more correct term. So he is situated in the transcendental realm beyond the material energy. Why, therefore, should his worship bear the fruit of material opulence? When you are approaching someone at a higher vibrational level, that person's aim is to bring you to that higher vibrational level. When you are approaching someone who has a greater gift to give you, why would he give you a lesser gift? When you are approaching someone who is the Lord of everything, then by connecting with him, you experience that you have everything, even though you may have nothing. That's the amazing part. One who has experienced himself be linked to Krishna in devotion, in loving devotion, experiences that everything is mine and nothing is mine at the same time. It's all yours. Everything belongs to you. All my possessions, everything I own, everything I do, this body, this mind, these senses are all given by you. They are meant for you. They are yours, as am I. Therefore, should his worship bear the fruit of material opulence, Vishnu's worshipper gains the eye of transcendental knowledge. What is the eye of transcendental knowledge? It means real wisdom. Knowledge or wisdom that helps us transcend, go beyond this world, become free of the influence and the clutches of this world and the cycle of birth and death, instead of being blinded by mundane assets. Vishnu is the detached witness of the material creation. His devotee also becomes aloof from the interaction of the inferior material energies. Now, this is not just some random claim, but it is an experience that one begins to have right here in this world while we are still in this body. Because as we practice devotional service or bhakti yoga, we begin to experience a gradual detachment from the world. We begin to notice that we're no longer drawn to the things that everyone else is crazy about. People are like moths running into a fire. getting burnt up by that fire. The devotee becomes more and more increasingly the witness of these foolish acts and begins to be able to control his mind and senses and withdraw them from the world and become more inwardly focused. Because in that inner space, he experiences a joy unlike any other, experience a peace unlike any other. His need is not to be in a peaceful place, but he has experienced the peace within. His need is not to have something that will make him happy, but his happiness is within. His need is not to find the love of his life. It is to know that the love of my life is within. Within me lies the connection to the Supreme Lord Krishna, and he is my everything. He is the source of everything I have ever desired, and that is his experience. So Shukadev says to Parikshit, he says, your grandfather, King Yudhishthir, this is Yudhishthir of the Pandavas, of whom you had Yudhishthir, who was the eldest, the king, and then his brothers Bhim and Arjun to whom Krishna spoke the Bhagavad Gita, and Nakul and Sahadev, all five of them. So he says, he's telling Parikshit, your grandfather, King Yudhishthir, after completing the Ashwamedha Yagya, this big sacrifice that he did, which made him the king of the entire planet, he asked Krishna this very same question while hearing him, that is Krishna, explain dharma. This question pleased Sri Krishna, who was the king's lord and master. So King Yudhishthir was the king of the entire planet, but Krishna was his lord and master. So Krishna was very pleased with this question. And Krishna is the one who had descended into the family of Yadu for the purpose of bestowing good for everyone. And therefore, for him to be able to deliver the message of dharma, of what is the true nature of the human being and what is his responsibility and duty. His duty is not just to raise his family and not just to survive in this world, but is actually to aspire for the greatest thing of all, and that is God. That supreme being, the supreme Lord, the supreme personality of Godhead. Because that is the solution to all suffering. We suffer in this world. We suffer all kinds of things, from the struggle of day-to-day life to our family and friends and other emotional dramas that go on around us, to the stuff that goes on at work, to the things that plague us in our body, from disease to old age and death. All of that is part of the struggle of being in this world. What to say of the politics and the economics and all of that that is going on, plus all the different struggles we have within our mind. So Krishna has come to show us what is the highest good for everyone. The highest good is that which frees us from all suffering. This was the goal of every spiritual teacher in the world. But the highest goal is mentioned in the Bhagavatam, that the highest goal is that which distinguishes reality from illusion for the welfare of all. In other words, to break the bubble of illusion in which we are all living, so that we may not continue to be so enamored by the world, and that we may go beyond the world and be able to understand it better. We may be able to understand what's going on out here. We may be able to be more in charge of our mind, our senses, and be able to step away from this barrage of inputs that are coming in and thereby then controlling us. Instead of being a puppet of the world, we become more and more free and liberated from the world here and now. So Krishna is speaking with Yudhishthir, and here it said, the Supreme Being said, Krishna said, if I especially favor someone, I gradually deprive him of his wealth. Then the relatives and friends of such a poverty-stricken person abandon him. In this way he suffers one distress after another. When he becomes frustrated in his attempts to make money and instead befriends my devotees, I then bestow my special mercy upon him. Now, on the face of it, that might sound very cruel. That might sound really bad. But sometimes you have to let go of something that is harming you to get something that is healing you. For example, an addict has to give up their drug. Now, the drug appears to give them great happiness. Whenever they have it, they have a relief from pain. They have a relief from suffering. They feel better. And they constantly long for that drug. It could be alcohol. It could be an opiate. It could be any other kind of drug. It gives the illusion of happiness, but that happiness only leads to suffering and even greater suffering, and they need to have more and more and more of the same thing until they become so dependent on it that any attempted withdrawal is extremely painful. So the same thing happens here. We are addicted to Maya. We are addicted to the illusion of this world. And that what Krishna is doing is helping us, like in a detox program, helping us become free of our attachment to our senses and our desires and the illusion of this world. That detoxing process is painful. It is not pleasant. And we may sometimes wonder, why? Why are you doing this to me? He's not doing this for our pain because he wants us to be in pain. He wants us to be free. In the purport it is said, devotees of the Supreme Lord Krishna experience both happiness and distress, not as consequences of karma, but as incidental effects of their loving reciprocation with him. In Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Srila Rupa Goswami explains how a Vaishnav devotee, so devotees of Krishna are called Vaishnavas, how a Vaishnav devotee is relieved of all karmic reactions, including those that have manifested fully, that is called prarabdha, that is the reactions to your karma that are happening right now. That is your prarabdha. What is happening right now is your prarabdha. This is the fruit of your karma that you're experiencing now. If you're experiencing great wealth, that is the fruit of your karma. That is your prarabdha. You're experiencing it and you're exhausting your bank account of good karma. Just know that. If you are not accumulating more good karma, that bank account is becoming diminished. And then there is karma that has not yet begun to manifest, and that is called aprarabdha. Right? That is still to come. That has not yet begun to manifest. That could be bad karma. You could be having your good karma now and your bad karma later. Some have their bad karma earlier and their good karma later. It varies from case to case. And then there is karma that is just about to manifest. So that's just coming up. Kutta, it's called. Kuta. And then there is karma that is barely manifesting. Bij, like a seed. So think of a seed. A seed of let's say a weed can grow very quickly, but the seed of a mango tree may take many years before the tree emerges and from that beautiful mango fruits come. It may take many years for that. But once it does, it's like raining mangoes. It's amazing. So as a lotus gradually loses its many petals, so a person who takes shelter of Krishna has all his karmic reactions destroyed. It's a beautiful example. As a lotus gradually loses its many petals. You know how a flower blooms, right? And then gradually the petals start to fall off. A rose, a lotus, whatever flower you're looking at. So also a person who takes shelter of Krishna has all his karmic reactions destroyed. In other words, even if something terrible was to happen, it either becomes minimized or becomes completely deleted, so to speak. In Gopal Tapani Shruti, Purva 15, it is stated, Bhakti or devotional service is the processes of worshipping the Supreme Lord. It consists of fixing the mind upon Him by becoming disinterested in all material designations, both in this life and the next. It results in the dissolution of all karma. See, this thing of designation is really important. We're all wanting to be something. We want to be recognized for our achievements. We want to be recognized as a good person. We want to be recognized as a good citizen. We want to be recognized as a upstanding member of society. We want to be recognized as someone who's successful, as someone who is famous, as someone who has achieved, who has accomplished great things and be looked up to. We want to be respected. But that is false designation. We are accumulating these things which are in fact not permanent and therefore false. They are temporary, and we are wasting our human life in trying to accumulate them. And the more we struggle to accumulate the things of the world, to get the respect of others, and work hard for getting that respect, whether that respect is that we look so good or we have so much or we are something, doesn't matter. Either way, we're working for the respect, the admiration, the adulation, all of that from others. And that is fleeting. When a rich person loses their wealth, they lose the adulation of others. When a beautiful or handsome person loses that beauty or those qualities that they had as they get older, they lose the admiration of others. It's all short-lived. It's only there for a little while. And then what comes is the sadness of having lost that which you once had. Ultimately, we come to the point of death, and then we have to leave it all behind. We leave behind the body. We leave behind our possessions. We leave behind our family. We leave behind everything. And we go away with nothing. And we wonder at that point, there's a more point of reflection. What did I accomplish? What was the value of this whole experience that I had? What did I take with me? The only thing you'll take are the lessons. The only thing you'll take are the experiences and what you learned out of them, and all the ways in which they changed you as a person. Well, the fastest way to do that is to come into this great wisdom of the Vedas and to learn from this the path of liberation, the path of freedom. And as you learn that, you begin to understand that there is a process, a very scientific process, for dissolving karma and for attaining the higher realms of consciousness, whereby one can be connected with God, have a relationship, a sambandha with that Supreme Being. And in that relationship of love, be able to experience the greatest ecstasies that we were longing for all this time. The reason that we're longing for these things and desiring the things of the world, that we're wanting from the things of the world but which we never get, is because that imprint is within us to seek happiness, peace, love, eternal life, all of that. That imprint is within us because that is who we are. The seed has been placed in our consciousness, in our soul. And because of that seed, we're looking for it in the world, but it's not happening here. But when we connect with that Supreme Being, we find everything. When we have a sambandha, the relationship with Him, then we find we get everything that we've ever wanted. And our hearts become filled, and that emptiness that is within us dissolves. So it is said here that while it is certainly true that those who practice devotional service remain in material bodies, and so even on this path of bhakti, of course you're going to remain in a material body for some time. And apparently material situations come your way as well. This is the inconceivable mercy of the Supreme Lord, who bestows the fruits of devotion only when the devotee has become purified. See, in the beginning stages, we practice bhakti. We practice chanting His name. We practice worshipping Him. We practice eating food that has been offered to Him, to God, to Krishna. That is still the practicing phase. But then as we get purified from within, we start to experience the real things. First comes the nishtha. We become more focused. We become more dedicated, more committed to the path. We realize through our intellect and through the cleansing of our heart that this is where it's at. This is where I'm getting my true sustenance, what I've been looking for. From that nishtha there comes a ruchi. Ruchi means a taste, an enjoyment, a higher taste, and in front of which the other things of the world now they don't satisfy near as much. They don't satisfy at all, in fact, as you get deeper and deeper into it. And then it goes further and further and further. Not only do you get that taste, that higher taste, but you also start experiencing signs of ecstasy. And those signs of ecstasy just keep growing and growing and growing. So in every stage of the bhakti process, Krishna watches over his devotee and sees to the gradual elimination of his karma and his growth spiritually. Krishna actually oversees that, guides us, sends us people, sends us devotees, sends us those who will help us, even if we might be wandering or meandering. Thus, despite the fact that the happiness and distress devotees experience resemble ordinary karmic reactions, the Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 87 states, a mature devotee recognizes the superficially good and bad conditions he encounters as signs of the direct guidance of his ever well-wishing Lord Sri Krishna. One may argue, if Krishna is so compassionate to his devotees, why does he expose them to special suffering? This is answered by an analogy. A very affectionate father takes the responsibility of restricting his children's play and making them go to school. He knows that this is a genuine expression of his love for them, even if the children fail to understand. Similarly, the Supreme Lord is mercifully strict with all his dependents, not only with immature devotees struggling to become qualified, but even perfect saints like Prahlad, Dhruva, and Yudhishthir were subjected to great tribulations, but were ultimately glorified. A person who thus becomes sober fully realizes the absolute, the supreme God, as the supreme personality of Godhead, the absolute truth, as the highest truth, that which is beyond all other truths of this world. See, there are so many things, so many of us struggle with wanting to know the truth. And in the world where now we find our every aspect of our understanding of the truth is being manipulated by social media, by the news, by all the different sources we relied on, we don't know where to turn to find the truth. And we get stuck in one position or other. We get stuck in either the truths of some particular network, shall we say, some news network, or we get stuck in the some social media, some particular thing going on over there. We get caught in these particular traps. And we think that we are on the right track, but in fact, we're not. We're caught up in one or other aspect of duality. And then we are in opposition to all the other people who are following other aspects of duality. But there is an absolute truth, a highest truth, a supreme truth. And that truth is God. And that truth does not change with the changing of time. It is not relative truth. Relative truth is one set of situations depending upon another. You're building a set of logic, you're building a set of inference, you're building a set of opinions. But the absolute truth is not like that. The absolute truth is always consistently the same. To give you an example, a person who meditates might experience peace. That is always the same. Just as 2 + 2 is always 4. So similarly, when that person quiets their mind, they always experience peace. It is consistent. they also experience a feeling of being uplifted. They experience various things that are consistently so. Similarly, all other aspects of the absolute of God are consistently the same. He is part of a non-dual truth. Here, truth is subject to duality. And we expect it to be absolute, but it is not. It is relative. The truth when it comes to God is non-dual. It is not based on duality. It's not based upon one situation. From there we derive some logic. From there we derive some... No. A non-dual truth is called Advai Gyan. That Advai Gyan is not subject to time or space or logic or reason or any other material circumstance or situation or evidence. It's consistently true for all time, like the Bhagavad Gita, which was spoken somewhere between 5,000 to 7,000 years ago, is consistently true now as it was then and will be true 5,000, 10,000, 20,000, 50,000 years from now. That's the nature of the absolute truth. So a person who has thus become sober, right? Sober means you've begun to see things as they are, fully realizes the absolute as the highest truth, the most subtle and perfect manifestation of spirit. Krishna is that manifestation of spirit. We are, as souls also, at a soul level, we are also manifestations of spirit, but he is the ultimate spirit, supreme spirit. He is the whole, and we are the part. The most transcendental existence without end. In this way, realizing that the supreme truth is the foundation of his own existence, he is freed from the cycle of material life. Because I am difficult to worship, Krishna says, people generally avoid me and instead worship other deities who are quickly satisfied. See, people want quick results. If someone says, you know what, just do this one little thing, accept this or do this, and then you will be saved, or you will get whatever you want, right? Just follow this one little practice and you can get whatever it is you desire. People very easily flock to that. But if someone says, no, all the stuff of this world is meaningless, nobody wants to go there because they're not going to get their desires met. They're not going to get their needs met. So for most people, coming to God or spirituality, even the ones who have rejected God and come to being spiritual and now believe in the law of attraction and all of that, the intent behind all of these people is still the same. Whether they go to the temple, church, mosque, or they go to some new age thing and believe in these laws of attraction or whatever else, need is still the same. I want my desires to be met. Whether I get it from here or I get it from there, I'm still diseased with the same thing. I want as much as I can get. I want to enjoy my senses. I want to have, I want to be, I want to do, and I want to enjoy the maximum possible. But nobody gets to enjoy to the maximum possible. There is so much, 90% of your time is spent in struggle and in suffering. The 5% or 10%, you get a little bit of relief from that. So think of it now. I want to have a meal. I have to either go to the grocery store. First I have to work, earn money, right? That meant days, hours and days of work. Then use that money to go to the grocery store, buy the food, come back, cut, chop, cook, and finally I get to enjoy a little something. That enjoyment of eating might last me 10 minutes. But the things I had to do to get to that point took me many, many hours, maybe days of work. A person wants sex. Again, the same thing. They will spend hours and days and so much of effort and energy to be able to win over someone that they can then have sex with. And that sex will last a few minutes. Okay, 5, 10, 20, whatever it is. It doesn't matter. Nothing in comparison to the hours they had to spend to get to that point. Whatever it is, even if it is that you want to be praised at work, You have to work hard for many, many days, maybe months, maybe years. And then you have your boss come up to you and say, you did a good job. For that one moment, one sentence of praise, we work so hard. For that one bit of recognition from our family, our friends, our boss, our colleagues, we work so hard. But what we actually get is so little. 1 week out of a year we'll go on a vacation, 2 weeks maybe. But the year consists of 365 days for which we worked hard. And then finally we got a little respite. What percentage was that? Stop and think. When people receive kingly opulences from these deities, so it's talking about how, because Krishna says, I am difficult to worship, people generally avoid me and instead worship other deities who are quickly satisfied. When people receive kingly opulences from these deities, they become arrogant, intoxicated with pride, and neglectful of their duties. They dare to offend even the demigods, the devas, who have bestowed benedictions upon them. Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, and others are able to curse or bless one. Shiva and Brahma are very quick to curse or bestow benedictions, but the infallible Supreme Lord is not. He neither curses nor blesses with this kind of intention. His intention is always to bring us back to Him. In this connection, an ancient historical account is related concerning how Shiva, the lord of Kailash mountain, because that's where he sits and meditates, was put into danger by offering a choice of benedictions to the demon Vṛka. The demon named Vṛka, a son of Shakunis, once met Narad on the road. So he's walking along, and there's Narad Muni, the great sage. This Asura, this wicked fellow, asked Narad which of the 3 chief gods could be pleased most quickly. So that is Brahma, Vishnu, or Shiva. Narad told him, worship Shiva and you will achieve success. Because Narad could understand. Narad is very wise. This person, Vṛka, quickly becomes pleased by seeing his worshippers. So Narad is telling him, Shiva becomes quickly pleased by seeing his worshippers' slightest good qualities and quickly angered by seeing his slightest fault. So Vṛka became pleased with this idea. He was very, very happy. Narad continued telling him that Shiva had blessed the 10-headed Ravana, and also he had blessed Vṛkāsura, when they each chanted his glories like bards in a royal court. A bard is someone who's like a singer or a poet. Shiva then bestowed unprecedented power upon each of them, but in both cases he was consequently beset with great difficulty. The demon Vṛka proceeded to worship Shiva at Kedarnath. Kedarnath is a very special place where there is a Shivling. So he went there in the mountains of the Himalayas, where it is bitter cold. But he did tremendous sacrifices there. He made a fire, and in that fire he started taking pieces of flesh from his own body and offering them as oblations into that sacred fire, which is considered to be Shiva's mouth. Vṛkāsura became frustrated after failing to obtain a vision of Shiva. So he went on and on for a long time. Finally, on the 7th day, after dipping his hair into holy water at Kedarnath and leaving it wet, he took up a hatchet and prepared to cut off his head. But at that very moment, the supremely merciful Shiva rose up out of the sacrificial fire, looking like the god of fire himself, and grabbed with both arms the demon and asked him to stop from killing himself, just as we would do. By Shiva's touch, Vṛkāsura once again became whole. Shiva said to him, my friend, please stop. Ask from me whatever you want, and I will bestow the boon upon you. Alas, you have subjected your body to great torment for no reason, since I am pleased with simple offerings of water from those who approach me for shelter. The benediction the evil Vṛka chose would terrify all living beings. Vṛka said, "May death come to whoever I touch upon the head with my hand. May death come to whomever I touch upon the head with my hand." This was the benediction he wanted. Upon hearing this, Śiva seemed somewhat disturbed. Nonetheless, he vibrated Om to signify his assent, granting Vṛka the benediction with an ironic smile, as if giving milk to a poisonous snake. So Śiva knew this person is a poisonous snake, an evil person. To test Shiva's benediction, the Asura, Vṛka, then tried to put his hand on Shiva's head. Śiva was frightened because of what he himself had done. He had given this person this powerful blessing, and now this person is after Śiva to kill him. As the demon pursued Śiva, Śiva fled swiftly from his abode in the north, shaking with terror. He ran as far as the limits of the earth, the sky, and the corners of the universe. The great devas, demigods, could only remain silent, not knowing how to counteract the benediction. Then Śiva reached the luminous realm of Vaikuntha. Beyond all darkness, beyond the darkness of this material world, he came to the spiritual world. He came to the luminous realm of Vaikuntha, where the Supreme Lord Narayan is manifest. That realm is the destination of renunciants, people who have renounced the world, who have attained peace and given up all violence against all other creatures. Going there, one never returns. Krishna says that whether one goes to the highest of planets, the most heavenly planets, or to the lowest of planets, where there is the most suffering, Earth is in the middle. It's an equal amount of happiness and suffering here. So whether you go to the highest planet or the lowest planet, all of them are places of suffering wherein repeated birth and death take place. But one who comes to my abode, Krishna says, never returns to this temporary and miserable world. In the purport it is said, Sridhar Swami says that Śiva entered the planet of Shvetadvip, a special outpost of the spiritual world within the confines of the material universe, so a point that is between the material and the spiritual worlds, called Shvetadvip. There, on a beautiful white island surrounded by celestial white milk-like ocean, Vishnu rests on the serpent bed of Anantashesh, making himself available to the demigods when they need his help. At the time when Krishna appeared on this earth, the same thing had happened. The devas, including Brahma, had gone. Brahma, Shiva, and all the great rishis, the sages, had gone to appeal to Vishnu that, look, there's too much of trouble going on this earth. We need you to appear and help vanquish all the asuras, the demons that have taken place, that have been torturing and tormenting the people on earth. And that's when Krishna appeared in this world. So it then goes on to say the Supreme Lord, who relieves his devotees' distress, had seen from afar that Śiva was in danger. Thus, by his mystic Yogamaya potency, Vishnu assumed the form of a brahmachari student. So like a student monk, think of that, all right? So and he'd come with the particular dress that a student monk would wear, with the particular belt, and they often have deerskin and rod and prayer beads. And he came before Vṛkāsura. So now he's come to Vṛkāsura. Vṛkāsura is looking for Śiva. Śiva has come to ask Vishnu, and Vishnu has now appeared in the form of this young boy. And he's gone up to Vṛkāsura directly, and he says that this boy, who was actually Narayan or Vishnu, he's such an effulgent body. His effulgence glowed brilliantly like fire. And he was holding kusha grass in his hand, and he humbly greeted the Asura, Vṛkāsura. The Supreme Lord said, "My dear son of Shakuni, you appear tired. Why have you come such a great distance? Please rest for a minute." So he showed great compassion to him, even though he was this Asura, this demonic guy. After all, it is one's body that fulfills all one's desires. So he says, your body is so tired. If your body is tired, you can't enjoy. You might as well rest a little bit, right? After all, it is one's body that fulfills one's desires. O Mighty One, please tell us, what do you intend to do, if we are qualified to hear it? Usually one accomplishes his purposes by taking help from others. So maybe I can help you in some way, he's saying. Thus questioned by the personality of Godhead in language that poured down upon him like sweet nectar, Vṛka felt relieved of his fatigue. He then described everything he had done. The Supreme Lord Narayan, in the form of a young boy, said, "If this is the case, we cannot believe what Shiva says. Shiva is the master of the pretas and the pisachas, that is the ghosts, the hobgoblins, some very low-life people. He's their master, whom Daksha cursed to become like carnivorous hobgoblins. O best of the asuras." So now he's praising him. O best of the asuras, O best of the demons. If you have any faith in Shiva because he is the spiritual master of the universe, then without delay put your hand on your head and see what happens. If the words of Shambhu or Shiva prove untrue in any way, O best of the demons, then kill the liar so he may never lie again. Thus bewildered by Narayan's enchanting, artful words, foolish Vṛka, without realizing what he was doing, placed his hand on his head. Instantly his head shattered as if struck by a lightning bolt, and the demon fell down dead. From the sky were heard cries of "Jai! Jai! Victory! Obeisances! Well done!" The celestial sages, Pitas, Gandharvas, the demigods rained down flowers to celebrate the killing of the sinful Vṛkāsura. The Supreme Personality of Godhead then addressed Shiva, who was now out of danger. He said to Shiva, "O Mahadev." Mahadev means the greatest of all the demigods. Maha means great, Deva, the greatest of all the Devas. "O Mahadev, my Lord, how this wicked man has been killed by his own sinful reactions, his own karma. Indeed, what living being can hope for good fortune if he offends exalted saints? What to speak of offending the Lord and spiritual master of the universe?" See, a lot of people think that Shiva is God. But here even Narayan, Vishnu, is saying to Shiva that you are the Lord and spiritual master guru of the universe, because in fact that is true. But of the universe, not of the entire creation. That comes from Vishnu, Narayan, Krishna. Supreme Godhead is different. Shiva is in charge of this material universe. Shiva and Durga, together they create the universe, are in charge of it. Right? Brahma does the actual creating, but they impregnate the universe, and all the living entities now begin to manifest. In the purport, it is said by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he points out that this statement of Vishnu's implies a mild scolding to Shiva. "My dear possessor of unlimited vision, O you of clear intelligence," he's telling Shiva, "benedictions should not be given to wicked asuras or demons in this way. You could have been killed, but you were only concerned about saving this poor soul, so you disregarded what would happen to you as a result." Narayan's mild rebuke also highlighted Shiva's exceptional compassion. Sri Hari, or Vishnu, is the direct, manifest, absolute truth, the Paramatma, the Supreme Soul, the unlimited ocean of inconceivable energies. Anyone who recites or hears this pastime of his saving Shiva will be freed from all enemies and the repetition of birth and death. Remember this now, you have heard it. And anyone who recites or hears this pastime of Narayan, Vishnu, saving Shiva, will be freed from all enemies and from the repetition of birth and death. In the purport, Srila Sridhar Swami explains, when Vishnu saw the danger confronting his devotee, his lotus-like heart became filled with compassion. He then delivered Shiva from the consequences of his own eloquent words. So in this way, we begin to see how compassionate Krishna is and how much he cares about his devotees and how he never lets them down. Krishna says that in the Bhagavad Gita too, that I always protect my devotees. I'm always there for them. With that, we'll end, and I'll see you next week. Hare Krishna.